Hello, people of Earth. This is Tesco with Rip Kenny and Trap Jesus, and you're listening to the Human Music Podcast. Woo!
Human Music Podcast. I like it.
Welcome, humans of Earth. Are you alive and well? This is the Human Music Podcast?
Yeah.
I think.
I mean, it might just be a chit chat if nobody's listening, but if anybody can hear this right now, it's officially a podcast, man.
Woo!
Human Music Chit Chat.
Human Music Chit Chat. Woo!
No, not a bad alt title.
I like it.
Yeah.
What's good? What's good, friends? We'll start off today's episode with some recent happenings in my life. Let's see, Friday of
What
Memorial
happened,
Day
Rip
weekend.
Kenny?
Yeah, what happened? I was riding my mountain bike off a jump and crashed very badly. You basically consider going like 15 feet up to landing on my front wheel and just pile driving into the ground as hard as I possibly could. Broke my hip/femur, 7 ribs, completely put my collarbone in 2 pieces, and punctured a lung. So I definitely, it was a high score for myself. A high score for myself. Should I bring up the X-rays to show?
Hey, man, all you, man. That's your choice, man.
All right. We gotta get some context here. Where the fuck did those go?
Brace yourself, humans.
Yeah, man. Yeah, I cringed a little bit just looking at the X-rays.
Okay.
I mean, I've had some little injuries, some good ski crashes, but boy, howdy, man.
All right, so
You're a savage.
here's the first one. So here's
Alpha
you can
human.
see the collarbone. Normally that's supposed to be connected right there. You can see there's like an inch gap, and where it's like, look at the skin like poking up around it. When I crashed, I literally like thought I got the wind knocked out of me for sure. Like kind of rolled onto my ass, and like my shoulder hurt, so I like reached up and I could like feel the end of the bone like poking up, not out of my skin luckily, but like I could feel like the sharp prickly edges on the end. I was like, okay, I definitely need surgery on my collarbone. Dude, luckily wearing a motocross helmet and this thing called a Liat brace, which protects your spine, like my head, like I definitely got a concussion. Like everything was super bright and I was dizzy as fuck, but I didn't lose consciousness. I didn't throw up or anything, and my spine was fully intact and fine. So that is the best possible scenario. I'll take broken bones you can fix any day.
Amen.
So yeah, that's the collarbone. Actually, I felt like the day after, because it was about 6 days before I could get into surgery to fix the collarbone, and by like the 5th day, I was like, because it had to stay like that until they fucking put it back to normal. Like it kept moving like closer and closer towards each other. By the 5th day, I was like, I wonder. And I like look in the mirror and I like try to put my like shoulders side by side, and my left shoulder is like 2 inches closer to the center line of my chest than my right shoulder. It had moved over. I was like, what the fuck? So yeah, now I got 10 screws in a big old plate along here. That's all fixed up. Let's dial up the hip. So this is the hardware I have in my hip. For y'all listening on Spotify, could watch the YouTube video or something. This is amazing. So they had to operate on the hip before I really knew what they were going to do, because it was like a dangerous deal, like arteries and blah, blah, blah. They had to do it as soon as possible. So I knew that they had to like fix some shit, but I didn't know what. And then they showed me this photo afterwards, and they were explaining the process of what they did. They literally made an incision up here, put a wire down through the center of the bone to like be able to pull a drill bit on that line behind it, drill through the center of the bone, attach a drill fucking behind that to like basically run the drill bit down through the bone, and then they pull that out and take on with the wire, pull a device that they attach to the side of your hip to pound this fucking rod into the bone. And then down there they threw a screw in the side of it and then put this other long thing up through towards the hip socket. But yeah, so that was fun. But all of that explanation really kind of to say that's what's happening in my life right now. And there's definitely, when you have something like this that happens in your life that like really shakes your shit up pretty bad, you definitely have a lot of reflective moments, right? And I feel like it's important for me, having gone through that recently, to remind all of you guys, it's never more clear ever in your life what is important to you and what matters most when you're in that situation where you're very unsure of the future, and you're very unsure if it's like gonna be okay again. And it really hits home like viscerally hard. Like, why are you wasting time doing anything that isn't exactly pushing you towards the things that you want to achieve in your time on this earth? It's like it's funny when you're just doing the day to day, like how you just take so much about life for granted, and you take the time for granted. And it's just really important to refocus on those things that matter to you. Like, you know, for me, like music, like, and everyone listening to this, I'm sure music, like, I have to make this shit happen. Like, I have to. There's no other fucking option. And that is not always that clear or important. And it's sad that it takes a magnitude of an event like that to kind of recrystallize that in your head. But it's definitely an important thing that I think everyone should try and remind themselves of when they can.
Even if you don't crash your bike.
Even if you don't crash your bike, even if you can still walk, even if you don't have many months of recovery in front of you. Yeah.
Hey, man, you're making the most of the situation, though, it seems. And like you said, it always leads to reflection in these moments, and, you know, always good takeaways to be reminded of. And luckily, it's nothing permanent.
Yeah. Like I said, I'm not paralyzed. I mean, even though the entire left side of my body hurts like a bitch all day, every day, I will be better. And that is the most important part. And, you know, the doctors even say the hip and the collarbone, once fully healed, will be even stronger than they were before I got all this metal.
Becoming a superhuman.
$6 million man.
Superhuman
Watch
podcast.
out, motherfuckers. Cyborg producer coming your way.
Oh, man. We're going to have to change the name of the show, bro. Cyborg Music Podcast.
2 humans and 1 cyborg podcast.
It's just called Two Brothers.
Funny joke, humans.
Man. Dude, yeah, man. I got to say, man, one thing I'm really impressed with and take a lot of inspiration from is you maintaining your positive attitude and your forward attitude through this. I'm sure, everybody, I've had injuries before where I had times where I was kind of down on myself and, feeling bad or, whatever. And then, had to pull through that and refocus on the positive. But it's been really dope and inspirational to me to see you keep coming back to the positivity, coming back to, you know, reevaluating your goals and your commitments and your, you know, what you want to achieve. And you've also talked about how you're making an effort to, you know, kind of stay in the positive recovery mode as opposed to the hurt mode. And that's really dope. That's really dope to see, man. Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate you saying that. It's definitely one of those things that, like, it almost feels like a survival response to me. Like, when every time that I've gotten, like, I've realistically had like 3 pretty bad injuries in my career of action sports. This one far and away being the worst. But for whatever reason, like, when I'm at the hospital and I'm like super fucked up, it's like almost a survival instinct to be really positive and nice to those around me, because I know that is how you're going to get the best treatment and how the people around you are going to want to take care of you. And also, it just becomes really clear in those moments for some reason that, like, if you're angry and in pain, it doesn't make it any less painful. Maybe more, right? And like if you just want to like wallow in your own sorrow, and like, yeah, there were definitely moments where I was like, why the fuck? Why did I just not do that jump? Like, I didn't need to. Like, why? But then, like, no, like, that's so stupid. Like, this shit is fun. I'm gonna continue to do this once I'm better. Like, I fucked it up like pretty good. Like, I fucked it up like really bad. Yeah. Like, but what does like being angry about that do for you? Literally nothing. Mm-hmm. And if you just wallow in like the pity of like, fuck, I wish this didn't happen. Oh, it's going to take so much work to get back to where I was. Like, you're just killing yourself, man. Like, that doesn't help. The more that you just like sit there and why me, like, oh fuck, like I'm in so much pain, like, oh man, the world sucks, like, you're only making it harder for yourself. And the more that you keep yourself in that mindset of like, poor me, oh pity me, like, you're just gonna be injured longer. Like, if your brain is like, oh, I'm a poor injured person, and you're just feeding that stimulus all day, poor me, I'm injured, I'm hurt, poor me, I'm broken, I'm never gonna get better, poor me, that shit is gonna become true. And so, like, I really like constantly I'm thinking about how do I carry myself like I'm fine, like I'm completely okay. Like it was funny. Like, I got home from the hospital like 3 days after the crash, and I hadn't seen any of my friends, and I think they really expected me to be like just fucking in terrible shape and in terrible spirits. And I got home and I was like, what's up, guys? Like, what's going on? Like, yeah, sent it a little too hard. What's good? Like, let's hang out. Let's play some games. You guys are only in town for one more night. Let's play some board games. Let's hang out. And they're all like, what? Like, aren't you fucking like broken as shit? And I'm like, yeah, like, and like,
but not your spirit.
I'm fine. Like, what? Like, there's being fucking broken and assuming that identity does fucking nothing for you. So, yeah, no, I think it's really, we've talked about it many times on the show, but like the power of your approach to things and your mindset and just,
mindset.
You gotta fucking make your life in, like, you make your reality. You really do. And if you make your reality a fun, happy place to be, even when your body hurts, that's like as close to like your own mental superpower as you can get. Like that, like, it's important to fucking, when it hurts the worst, to do so. That's when it's the most important to fucking double down on that type of shit. So
amen. And so to all of our listeners out there who are sitting there paralyzed from fear to even start on a big thing that you want to do,
ooh-wee,
and worried about, oh, what if I try to make this song and it sucks? Or what if I release this song and somebody doesn't like it? Or what if I don't get as many plays as I hope to? Just think about Rip Kenny out here actually smashing his own body and laughing it off.
Wow.
And jumping right back on the horse and pushing through, and just take a little bit of humility real quick, because hot damn, you know, like, is it scarier for somebody to be like, I don't know if I like your tune, bruh, than it is to like get back on a mountain bike after you crashed it?
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, is it a life or death situation? Because no, it's not.
No, it's definitely
no,
not.
it's not. You know, like, there's so many scary things in life that as soon as you just face up to it and you push right into it, stop being scary.
Yeah. And it's also important to note, like, it's a good reminder for myself, even, like, what you just said exactly. Like, why would you ever have a fear of writing music because you think you're not in a creative mood today and you're going to write garbage and you're going to feel bad about it? Like, that thought still enters my head. Mm-hmm. Like, oh, I'm kind of tired today. Like, I have like 3 hours, 4 hours, but if I tried to make a song, maybe it would suck. And like, I just don't want to make something shitty today. Like, I'm like, that fucking scared feeling still enters my head. And so like that reminder that Luke just said is so fucking important for everyone, myself included.
I think that's like definitely a normal part to have, that voice doubting it, because I feel like it's almost the adult part of ourselves, our psyche or whatever, sort of arguing with the child part of ourselves. It's like, no, I want to play, I want to have a good time. And the adult versions is like, no, clean your act up and like straighten yourself out and, you know, be a fucking adult and like settle down. And, you know, it's just the total opposite to that creative side of yourself. So yeah, man, I don't think that they can like coexist really, but I think having not in the same moment, but I think having both is definitely a sign that you still have that creative aspect alive. And now obviously if you keep giving into it, I know I'm jumping analogies here, but it's like the feeding the wolves analogy. It's like whatever, you know, you keep feeding is what's going to grow stronger, keep coming back. So you can't keep giving into it, but I think, you know, like I said, having it is a good sign that you still have the yin to the yang as well.
Yeah. It's like, so the physical therapists there's physical therapists that will come visit your home from the hospital. And one of the things he said to me was, the longer you don't walk, the harder it's going to be. Uh-huh. And that shit really stuck with me. I literally, like, that night I was like fucking figuring out, like, how could I brace myself in a way with like my arms and some other shit that I could like start to like mimic the motion of walking with no weight on my left side. Mm-hmm. Like, so I could fucking get that muscles firing again and get like, oh shit, like I gotta go my heel before my toe and shit like that. Like, it seems so fucking crazy, but like, that's the same thing with music. Like, if you're afraid to sit down and write music, and I'm talking directly to myself here, if you're afraid to sit down and write music like so regularly that it becomes a habit, like because you think you don't want to write shitty music, you can only write it when you're in like the right state of mind, like you could be way better, but you don't exercise that skill as often as you could because you're throwing up mental blocks. You could be better.
Amen.
You gotta exercise those muscles.
The longer you give into the fear, the more you're going to stay in the fear. The longer you don't just go write whatever music you've got, whatever ideas you've got at whatever skill level you're at, the longer you're going to be stuck right there and backsliding. You're going to be actually getting worse at doing what you do the longer you don't go do it. I'm, this, your, real life moment of what that physical therapist told you echoes an injury I had when I was, I don't know, maybe like 22. I was drinking beers on somebody's roof in Southern California, and it was like a really short roof, like you could reach up and touch the gutter, and I was sitting on the edge of the roof, dangling my feet off, and I popped off, and I just misjudged my jump, didn't get my feet out in front of me, and landed flat on my face in the lawn with my arm pinned beneath me and dislocated my elbow.
Oh, fuck.
Yeah. And it was kind of like you. It was like at the first moment, people were like, oh my God, did you break your neck? Are you hurt? I'm like, no, I think I'm good. Just knocked the wind out of me, rolled over. Like my arm is a little, and I straightened it and it popped back in the socket. And it was like, oh, okay. Yeah, there was something going on there. Got an ice pack, couple more beers, went to the hospital, got some x-rays. And, also this kind of ties into getting bad advice from people that don't really know. You ask your friends, like, yeah, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't write some music if you're not feeling it. You can't force it. So many people say, oh yeah, you can't force the creativity. And okay, maybe, but also I think you're putting too much weight on the creativity and the inspiration part, whereas production is really a process, and it's something repeatable where you take any idea and you take it through a set of steps called arrangement and mixing to get it to a place where it's a song. Even if it's a bad song, you just practiced all the steps that get an idea from one place to the other. And the first 2 doctors I went to told me, oh, you have a broken elbow and you need to be in a cast for 6 to 8 weeks and immobilize it. And then I talked to another doctor who is an actual specialist for elbows, and we're like, oh, they told you what? Yeah, that would have screwed you up. I need to put you in a brace that is movable, that has that you can slowly open up your range of motion from 5 degrees to 10 degrees to 20 degrees over the weeks, so that you can still move your elbow. Because if you don't move your elbow little by little, you're going to calcify it. And then it's going to take you like a year of rehab to get your full range of motion back, as opposed to 6 to 8 weeks total to get your full range of motion back. And the longer we sit in that fear of moving forward, the more we calcify and the harder it is to start moving again.
Yeah, so I do like web developer stuff as well, and that's huge. When I got my first job, I would talk to people who would tell me about their experiences, and, just hearing from some of the older, more qualified people and everybody that was sort of just getting into it like I was, there's like this phase of just imposter syndrome where, you just spent the last however many years in fairy tale land where you're being judged and marked, and it's all comes down to these numbers on this paper that dictate how much you know and whatnot. And then you come out to the real world and you're like, what the fuck is going on? Like nothing is how you expected. And it just, you go through that phase where you don't feel like you belong really. But if you just show up every day and you just expose yourself to it more, I think it goes for a lot of things. We can build up tolerance and not only that, but actually start to enjoy those same things. So, at first it might be a struggle to just do it for 10 minutes, but if you keep doing that Spiderhound 10 minutes a day challenge and you just, keep showing up and just ingrain in your brain that you're a musician and you do this every day, it gets exponentially easier. Like, it's not like doing 20 minutes is going to be twice as hard as that. You'll get to the point where eventually you're not even looking at the clock for an hour or 4, and you totally forgot that, you've showed up every day this week and done this thing. Like, you look forward to it because it's exciting. And you don't even have to do a full track every time too, man. Like, sometimes like my form of leisure or enjoyment is like, yo, let me just make some sick ass drums while I watch whatever on TV, and like, let me just get some background noise to fill the deafening void, and let me do that one part of the process that I really enjoy. Even if it never becomes a song, let me cook up that melody loop just cause,
Yeah.
Just keeps your shit sharp.
Definitely. I like something that you mentioned in there was like when you stop realizing the time is passing. That was one of like the most interesting phenomenons when I was getting into music, that I just knew that it was like something I wanted to do for the rest of my life, because it's nothing else can put you in such a flow state for that extended period of time. Like riding my mountain bike, like doing like a 5-minute long downhill run, which is like still like a long run. Like you're fucking tired by the end of that. It's only 5 minutes. And then you're sitting on the chairlift chatting with your buddies and stuff. When you're in the flow state for that, like it's like magical, but it doesn't last that long. Making music, like you'll have hours and hours pass and you don't even realize the world is still turning. You thought it was like 5 minutes and then it's like 4 a.m. and you still didn't write that fucking essay that's due today. And you're like, oh fuck, like I didn't even know this was, what kind of wizardry is this? Like what the fuck just happened? Like I love that. It's a like really special moment.
Man, one thing about essays, do you ever feel like you write some of your best shit when you have like a very pressing deadline and something totally unrelated? Yeah. And you're like, I have to get this thing done, but this idea is so dank, I'm gonna push it.
Yes. Yeah. Dude, honestly, when I was, so I started making music my junior year of college, and I would write like some of my favorite music. I mean, it was still pretty garbage back then, but I loved it at the time, obviously, as we all do. I would write some of my best music like at fucking 3 a.m. in the library when I had something due, you know, because it's like, fuck, like I could be doing that. Or look, Ableton's on my computer. Oh, and you just like open that shit like, oh, I'm just gonna noodle around for like 15 minutes, take the stress off, and then I'm gonna start working. And then all of a sudden it's like, oh fuck.
Yeah, isn't it funny now how, you know, we had to convince ourselves to write for 15 minutes and now it's like your mind is like, oh yeah, just sit down for 15 minutes. Like just get that idea out, and you like can't even trust that voice anymore because you're like, fuck, if I sit down for 15 minutes, man, like I gotta be prepared. Not even for sure, but I gotta be prepared that the next 4 hours I don't got shit going on.
Yeah.
Yeah, man, there'll be times where I'll like be coming out of the shower and get a little idea. Like, oh yeah, man, let me just lay this down before I forget it. Next thing you know, I'm like, why am I so cold? Oh, it's because I'm sitting at my computer in a towel with dripping wet hair still. Like 2 hours later, halfway done with this song, I'm just like, okay, maybe now's a good time to just take a quick pause and like towel my hair off and put a shirt on so that I can get back to this idea.
Fucking
maybe, eh?
Maybe.
So, man, I feel like too, if you're going to the gym and working out and stuff, like every time I'm getting back into it, like the first like session or two, I know staying that full hour and a half, like I do when I'm fully in routine, feels like fucking agony, bro. But if I put in 30 minutes a day for 2 days and my mind just sort of kicks back in that routine of getting stimulated in that way, then like hour flies by, no problem, hour and a half, you know, and it's not even a concern. You're fully in the zone, but it just takes that initial like greasing the groove to like just get you into it.
Yeah, man. Yo, this is actually reminded me. Last episode, we brought up that we were going to accountability each other on 3 workouts a week. So turns out, Rip Kenny, your assignment is continue physical therapy on whatever schedule that's about.
I'm supposed to be doing my physical therapy exercises 2 to 3 times a day, and I've been consistently doing them 5.
Hey.
So,
hey, see?
Whammo, there's my workouts.
Yeah, and continuing the theme of Rip Kenny over-delivering on our challenges.
Oh, my God.
That's what's up. You're an inspiration, bro.
Yeah, by over-delivering, you mean of the 10, you guys have done 0 and I've done 1? That's the concept.
No, 2 challenges now. Okay. You're in the lead.
Hey, bro, I mean, You're in the lead.
I'll take a small win.
Although I did open up my app, my Fit On app, and do yoga routines a few times a week since we laid that out. So I'm proud of myself for doing that. I definitely got to do more. I slept funny on my pillow the other night and got this weird crick in my neck that lasted 2 whole days.
Nice.
Just stretch it out. Let's go. Oh man, and then of course, I'm sure it doesn't help that all of the time I'm doing this computer pose.
Oh my god.
God, I feel that, man. I saw this picture that I just related with so hard, man, and I feel like posture is something everybody, could take a bit more seriously, but it was this meme, man.
Posture break. Everyone listening to this.
I know. I just
sit your shit up.
Posture.
Sit your shit up.
It was just, text was like, why does my back hurt so much? And it's a picture of a shrimp sitting at a computer, perfectly U-shaped.
Dude, don't laugh that hard. Fuck, dude, that hurt.
Yeah, man, it's super easy.
Laugh that hard.
Super easy to stop paying attention to that shit once you get into flow state, man.
Yeah, but like we talk about, the more you do something, the easier it is to keep doing it. When I first became aware of my bad posture and first started thinking about it, it was really hard for me to even figure out what does a sitting up straight even feel like? What do you mean put my shoulders down? I've never done that. But after focusing on it more and doing more yoga, doing more stretching, becoming aware of what my back muscles actually are and how I can use them, it's now easier. I mean, still find myself sitting in terrible posture quite often, just keep sliding down, keep sliding back, oh crap, I got to sit back up,
You end up looking like the World of Warcraft guy from South Park.
Yeah, Mom, hot pockets. But, the more you sit up straight, the easier it is to sit up straight. The more you show up and just write whatever idea you have out and try arranging it and mixing it, the easier it is to do that. The more you go into what you're afraid of, the easier it is to overcome fear in general. So
yeah, man, exactly.
Building these patterns and this consistency.
Exactly like you said for the posture, man. The only reason the bad posture is easier is because most of us have practiced it incorrectly the wrong way for so long. And, on that same note, making sure that your practice is deliberate, and when you show up you have a plan, because I think too, if you just show up in open Ableton and you don't know what you're doing, I say definitely have sessions where you just show up and noodle around. But if you're trying to write a song and you haven't even identified how everything fits together and what order you're going to tackle this problem in and come up with some sort of game plan, you're gonna shoot yourself in the foot there. And one quote I really like, I've been thinking about a lot recently, actually, now that I think about it, is failing to prepare is preparing to fail. And I don't know who said that, man, but it's everything. That hour or 2 or 4 of preparation that feels like fucking forever is going to save you exponentially more in the future. And, we've talked about it before, but that's one of the things that separates humans from other animals, is that we can weigh out these sort of costs and think into the future. So definitely in all aspects of your life, but, for sure production, start thinking about these things and how you can set yourself up.
Don't produce like this guy.
Shit.
Like this guy. For all you guys listening on Spotify, you're going to have to watch the clip on YouTube, but...
Oh, man, good shit, man. Yo, I looked it up. Turns out that is a Benjamin Franklin quote. So, shouts out to Ben Franklin.
Shout out to
$100 bill himself.
Shout out to boy Benny. What's good? Flying them kites.
Amen.
You did.
Yeah, man. We've been talking about, being worried about showing up and making that crappy music. And a good friend of ours, Shoes from the Dojo, a producer buddy of mine out here in Seattle. He's been brought up on a podcast before. 1/4 of Rave Gravy with me and Rip Kenny and Nintendo.
Get him on here.
Yeah, we got to get him on here ASAP. But we had a session. He came over last night for the first time since quarantine started. And we met in 2017 and immediately started making music together because, you know, we met at a Levitate show. We're like, oh, you like bass music? I like bass music. You like smoking weed? I like smoking weed. Let's be buddies. And he ended up coming over. We made a bunch of tracks. We've got this big collab folder. And we, aside from the one Rave Gravy track that we made at the end of last year with two more people helping us, that is the only track that we've actually released as a collab duo among like 25 other sessions that we have in the collab folder.
Yo.
Like, for real, just show up and make stuff, because last night, the first 30 minutes of our session was just opening the files, and like most of them were just laughing at how bad they were, or like being like, well, you know, this like that loop has some potential, and you know, I mean, like I kind of dig the piano part, or oh, like, you know, the drum groove is actually pretty good on this one, but God, that lead is trash, you know, and like laughing together and joking about that, and then we finally opened one where like, ooh, you know, actually I kind of remember this one. This one
is that the one with like the wonky drums and like the saw swoopy bass noises? I don't know. Y'all played one when we were on tour in Montana at that bar. The big ass bar, I don't know, it was like swoopy and wonky and like had a lot of like saw bass patches.
Oh, that one is Who You Gonna Call Now? That Who You Gonna Call, man. Yeah. No, we actually didn't open that one. We opened, that's probably our best one we ever did.
Finish that one, dude.
I mean, yeah, for real. That one, I mean, that one was by far the best one we did together. We ended up opening like the second best one we had done, this one called 150. The lyric was, if you're running, you better give 100. But if you're running with me, you better give 150. And we always dug that, and we thought the drop was one of the coolest we had ever done. But opening it last night, we're like, all right, let's throw this into the new mix template. Now that we're better at mixing and we know the process, took it through the process we've learned at the dojo, and got it all mixed out, and then started A-B'ing, comparing it to other dojo songs, like listening to some Unk tracks and some Medesign tracks, and like, all right, how are we stacking up? And realized, you know what? The vocals and the leads all need to be completely replaced. But like the nugget of the song, the idea was there. So I ended up, after he left, re-recording the vocal and by the way, picking some sweet serum patches that Rip Kinney made for this top secret project that's coming out. I'll tease the name. It's the Portal Serum Pack.
Oh yeah, and also check out the description for that Get Dead goodness.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, man, make sure you get that. But yeah, so I ended up picking a few of those sweet serum patches and just replaying in new sounds all of the general vibes that were going on in the song with completely new sounds that sound way better. And so, you know, long story to bring it back around to what I'm actually talking about is, don't be afraid to show up and write the shitty ones, because one, you're getting better. Two, you're building up a catalog of ideas. Like some of those beats we opened up were like, there was a chunk of it that I'm like, you know what? The drop didn't work, but the intro could totally be a rap beat. Let's just like take that part and make it into a rap beat next session. And then sometimes the idea that you put down is so good that you can come back to it 3 years later and be like, okay, now we know how to actually finish this one. There's going to be some sound replacement. There's going to be some re-recording. There's going to be a rearranging and remixing. But now we know how to take this cool idea. And if we had been too afraid to show up because we didn't know how to finish a song on that day in 2017, I wouldn't have had this cool song today in 2020. So show up and make shitty shit, because every once in a while you get a gold nugget out of it.
Yeah, that's you guys totally hit the nail on the head. Actually, I still look up to you, Luke, as being someone that's never afraid to just fucking do the fucking thing. Like,
not no more.
You just jump in and do the shit. I love that about you.
Thanks,
and
man.
One of the things that you mentioned that really is important is like going back through those old whips and just grabbing the good shit out of them, because there's good shit in there for sure. Like if you made a full song, at least one of the things in that song is worth bouncing. Like, I mean, maybe it's just the drums. Like, maybe it's just that drum pattern. So go in there, bounce your full drum loops as kick, snare, hi-hats, and percussion, and now you have a 4-piece drum loop that you can mix and match. And then also take the MIDI and export those MIDI grooves if it's in MIDI, and make yourself a folder, 140 BPM, sick triplet swing drum groove, right? And then you got 4 drum parts worth of MIDIs. Like, there's always stuff that you can be extracting from those old projects. And in the moment, you likely didn't already do that. Like, almost 100% sure. Like, you didn't stop working on that song that one night in August 2018 and go, you know, I'm probably never going to open this up again. I should save every part out of here. No, you definitely did not do that. Like, just fucking, if you're not feeling it someday, just open up some old shit, see what's in there. You'll probably get inspired by some of it. Grab all your favorite bits, recycle everything that you can, and fucking use it as your new Sparks folder or something like that, you know?
Yeah, I call that process sample farming. In fact, I took I've mentioned it before, but I'll mention it again because it's important. I took all of my old unfinished whips, dumped them into a folder, called it Sample Farm. And now every once in a while, late at night or when I don't have a ton of time to really write a track, I'll just open that up and start clicking on sessions and be like, ooh, I like those chords, export. Ooh, cool percussion loop, export. Ooh, that's a nice little lead. Let me EQ that a bit, throw a compressor on there, export. And then once I've got everything that I like out of the session, I just delete it. You know, of course, like figure out what key it was in, label it with the key and the BPM, and now you've got a Sparks folder. That could be a collab Sparks folder. If your friend hits you up and is like, collab, bro, be like, here's a zip file of like 9 ideas that you could run with. Here's some chords, here's some leads, here's a weird bass thing. Like, just, you know, now you've got them immediately accessible for your project or somebody else's. It's powerful.
Yeah, I love that. I think that's one thing that like a lot of people like internalize. They're like, yeah, that's really smart, and then never do it. Like,
yeah,
you got to do that shit. You have to have a Sparks folder. If you don't have anything to start with,
man. Every serious artist has to have some sort of catalog of ideas at various states that, you know, you could show up to any sort of session. You know, in most cases, you're just going to be dealing with yourself. But if you know you have a co-writing session coming up and you just sift through those files and you find, you know, some half-finished ideas that are open for somebody else to come on and there's room for them to do their thing, that is worth so much in that moment, even though, you know, right now it's sitting on your hard drive and it's not too valuable because you don't want to revisit it. But, you know, like, just setting up some sort of session like that in the future where you bring these unfinished pieces just will instantly increase the value of this material that you're just sitting on, and it'll be a very fun experience for both of you to work on this sort of thing. Now, that being said, you know, I said various stages because if you have too little, like, I'm not going to do shit with your 8-bar loop that you sent me for, like, not even a full instrument. But also, if it's too finished, you know, I've definitely had people bring me songs, or I brought songs where they're like, yeah, this sounds pretty done to me. I don't know what I do here. And we end up starting something from scratch. So, you know,
yeah,
that's having those midway finished songs, perfect for co-writing. Having the more finished songs you're not going to release, bounce that shit out, add it to your library. If it's more in the beginning, I'm sure there's some stuff you could save there too. And now it's like for every sort of stage of the process where you're leaving tracks unfinished, which, by the way, they'll sort of funnel down from, you know, more general ideas down to all of the songs that you want to work on versus the ones that get finished versus the ones that get released. But, you know, all of those tunes, like, there's been tunes like one me and a friend wrote recently that never got released. 2 years later, he's ghost producing for somebody. It fits perfectly. We each get a few hundred out of it. Awesome, right? And it came at such a nice time for me because I totally forgot all about that tune, but because it was sitting at that stage in the process, it was ready to go. You know, that opportunity presented itself. I feel like I'm running around this point a bit, but, you know, I really want to emphasize how important it is to just have this catalog of music, because, you know, this is the business that you're in. And, you know, sometimes you don't want to play the game fully through. You just want to jump to level 5 and run it to the finish line. So,
and you never
have that ready.
You never know when those whips will just end up in $200 worth of blunts. You know?
Yeah.
You never know.
For real. I mean, you know, you talk about, you know, like, oh, sometimes you don't want to work with the 8-bar loop, but sometimes, like, I've been in situations. There was this thing that was happening around the country called Collab Lab, where a bunch of producers and writers would get together and make beats and hooks to pitch to artists. And I was working with my guy Hayden, who's now in Bounce Gang with me, Hayden THC, and he was just handing me these 8-bar loops. I was like, man, it's got like 5 elements. I made this 8-bar loop one day. I just ran out of steam. I know it's got potential. I don't know what to add. And I listened to it and I'm like, oh, like, I just hear exactly how I'm going to arrange this. And 15 minutes later, it's an entire beat. All I had to do was add like one little element. Like, oh, I thought of a bass line or something, you know, like, but every other piece of it was there. And he had run out of steam on it, but I was coming in completely fresh. And I hear this idea and I'm like, oh my God, that's incredible. I love the groove. Whoosh, it's a beat. Mm-hmm. Just because I practiced doing that part of it so many times, and I was coming in completely fresh and unattached to the project. And then he hears it and was like, oh, damn, yeah, that's killer. And then all of a sudden he's sparked to write a hook to it. And then it's like, oh, wow, now this is like an actual thing that we can go pitch. It's a real song. You know, we've been pitching it for, you know, since last fall. And it hasn't landed anywhere. Now we're kind of talking about, man, dude, I like how your voice sounds on it. Maybe we should just release it as your track.
Mm-hmm. That's sick, man. Yeah, I think it's worth noting, too, like, what really opened up my eyes lately in the hip-hop world, you know, which I've been diving into a lot, is seeing that there's kids out there getting signed for just melodies. There's kids out there just making drums. You know, and now obviously there's people that just do vocal mixing and just do, you know, whatever, all these individual parts of the process. But, you know, it's worth remembering that, like, these are actual dedicated roles that, you know, people in the industry that are doing these roles, they specialize in just this one thing. They specialize in just sound design. They specialize in just making 8 to 16 bar loops with 4 or 5 layers on them that can be arranged into a beat. And, you know, when you're thinking about opportunities as far as what you want to do, I'm sure there's a lot of artists out there that want to, you know, just write their own music, but it's something to consider that there's people out here making whole careers off of, you know, basically what you just said, Luke, like that 8-bar loop. If you look in the hip hop world of the music industry and you type in like free trap loop, free hip hop loop, whatever, people are giving away like free packs by like 100, 200 melodies, or like weekly giveaways on melodies. And it's just, you know, totally different game there. That is what some of those people say. Like, I want to be a melody maker, and that's what they excel at. So, you know, all of these are rabbit holes that you could go down. And just like a video game, every time you level up, you get 5 skill points. That's kind of like your time. You only got so much of it. And, you know, I guess in real life, you could piss away all of it. Or if you want to allocate it into a specific skill, you know, go into what really inspires you and what you really feel like you got strength in doing, you know, and you can make a career out of just that.
And regardless, don't let the game end before you have found your muse. You got to get out there and fucking do that shit. You got to experiment. You got to go maybe experiment making hip-hop beats and see if that's what you like. But don't be afraid at any point to make any creative move, because it's not life or death. It's just art. And it can be good, it can be bad. But like we've talked about, there are so many different ways that you can use the bad shit that you made, that you can reformat the shit that you thought would have no purpose, that you can start a collab with that one beat you got halfway and got pissed off on, you know, like just keep at it and never fucking stop chasing your purpose, you know?
Amen.
Facts.
And then once you stop chasing it and start living it, never stop living that purpose.
Damn right, son.
That sounds like a podcast to me.
All right, humans. I appreciate you tuning in. Stay safe out there. Wear your helmets and your Leah braces.
And your masks.
And your masks.
Yeah. Whether it's because there's COVID in the air or because there's a dumpster fire, we call the entire western half of the United States on fire. Wear a mask because the air's not that good right now. Be safe.
Yeah.
Fuck motivation. Gang.
Make it to next week with us. Peace among worlds.
Yeah.
Worlds, humans.
Woo.
I like it.
What's up, humans? It's Luke, your friendly neighborhood trap Jesus. Thanks so much for watching the podcast, checking out our videos. We truly appreciate you. So, Rip Kenny, Tesco, and myself got you a gift. We made you a free sample pack. It's got basses, it's got FX, it's got crazy percussion and Foley sounds, and it's free. It's all yours. Just click the link in the description below. Also, make sure to hit that subscribe, hit that like button, and share this with your friends. We appreciate you. Peace out and peace among worlds.